see. My set to set, I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive. Woke up in the morning, sleepy eyes yawning. Jumped out of bed, started the day, opened the curtains. Felt the cool breeze, the sun shining on my face. But something was missing, I needed my job to chase. Give me coffee in the morning, give me coffee in the morning. Gotta have the coffee, wake me up, shake me up, tell me like I'm gushy. One set, two sets, and I'm feeling so alive. Coffee in the morning, it's the best way to survive. Woke up in the morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I am outstanding. I've got my coffee. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because I've got 1 cup in me already.
I got a couple of cups in me. I think I'm on my last cup now, but yeah, I've been up for quite a while, so it's always good to have that morning coffee, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it's always a debate with me whether I've got a grind and brew, and I love fresh ground coffee.
Mm.
But whenever I use that, I always make myself way too much. And I'm tempted to drink that much. So I did the K cups this morning. Gotta use portion control.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I've been known to drink a couple of pots a day, so yeah, it's my morning pot, usually in my afternoon or evening. It depends on my mood. It all depends on the mood, but yeah, I'm a caffeine freak, so I can't help it. I usually wake up and roll out of bed and go straight for a Coca-Cola, and isn't that horrible? That's like bad habit, but it is what it is. Good morning, Forrest. Welcome in. Thank you for joining. We got a couple of people listening, so welcome in, everybody. I'm assuming you can hear us okay, Forrest, right? So,
I can hear you fine. I think we're fine.
good. I think we're good as well. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Forrest. So how have you been the last couple of days?
Getting better, slowly coming out of this. And then yesterday I got some really good granddaughter time in. She's to the point where she's asking me to pick her up. So I held her for a while, and then we went out in the backyard, and I walked around the backyard with her and brought her back in for dinner with Mom. That was nice.
That's good. That's always good, spending time with the babies.
Yeah, and she's got me wrapped around her little finger because she wants me just to hold her, and I put her down a couple times, and then she looked up at me from her seated position on the floor and raised her arms like, pick me back up.
Oh yeah. Yep. You better be careful. You're never going to be able to put her down. Thank you, Forrest. I always go back and forth with the intros. Is it, is it obnoxious? Is it whatever? Is it stupid? Things like that. But I think it's catchy, and I like it too. So thank you.
Yeah, that's a cool little mellow song. I like it. They call that lo-fi. I think they call that lo-fi.
Yeah. I found that on CapCut, so it's hard to find good stuff on CapCut sometimes. But there is one that I use, like when I did my 1,000 subscriber little video thank you. There's one that it's called Salty or whatever that song is called. It's a copyright, but it's not a strike, and it doesn't affect anything on the channel, so I rarely use that one. But speaking of strikes, we did our live where we went over Jennifer O'Shea's interview with Fox 59, and was it Baldwin?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't get a channel strike, but I got a copyright. And so apparently Fox 59 hit me with a copyright.
Ooh.
Which is, I've never had that happen before. Media that I've ever used clips on, right? And we were stopping and commentating and doing, I haven't appealed it or anything yet. It said what it will do is demonetize the video. Well, it was a live, but I'm not monetized like that. I don't get revenue from ads and things of that nature. Do you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
even if they took away like a super chat or anything I earned during that show, fine, so be it. So be it. That's not what I'm out here for. But I think it's odd that we use their video clip thinking we'll be safer, and then versus Murder Sheet or HTC because of their strikes. But yeah, Fox 59 did that. So
Wow.
yeah. So
People use their clips all the time. So maybe there's a balance where you just show like 30-second to a minute
I guess
of something, or maybe 20 seconds. I've heard somewhere that 20 seconds was
of
the
it,
limit.
but it's yeah. I don't know we'll figure it out moving forward on how they do, because I'm about to show some more news stuff here in a minute, but we'll see what happens. But not from Fox 59. But I could have went back, like I said, and edited out parts, but when I went to do that, it was editing out quite a bit, and then it would have been no point in even having the live up still. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I left it alone. If they do what they want with it, whatever. But it wasn't like an actual strike against the channel. It just demonetized it or whatever. And
just the actual video
yeah,
itself. Okay.
Yeah. So, and there was no, like I said, there was no real monetization tied to that thing anyway. Like, I'm new to this monetization shit anyway, so I don't even know what the hell's going on, but they can have at it. I'm not changing it. That was a good live and people enjoyed it and we had a good turnout, so I don't really want to. I don't think that's fair. It's fair use, and I guess I better get that little fair use disclaimer up on my videos and stuff nowadays, like everybody's starting to do.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. I keep, well, I tell myself every day, you're not going to go in and do this, because I try to clean up in my YouTube studio and do all the things and keep myself straight. But anyway, I keep forgetting to do that, and so I got a note to get my tail in there and do that. But so there was a couple of case updates we're going to talk about this morning. One was a couple of things happened in the Karen Read case, and we did, when we talked day before yesterday in our live, there are some community members who have followed the Karen Read and are very interested in it. I know she has a new trial coming up in April, and there was a Daubert hearing held recently and about the dog bite expert, and Michael Proctor also had a hearing. So we're going to touch about that, but get some follow-ups and try to just get caught up on the. I didn't watch the other trial. I didn't follow the case closely, but I'm following it more closely now. You know what I mean? And since the community is interested in it, as something I wanted to bring to them as well. And the disappearance of Michael Vaughn. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Michael's case. I wasn't as familiar as I probably should be, so I'm kind of getting caught up myself. But there was something that happened in that case we're going to talk about as well. And the one thing I'm going to touch on first, because it's going to be quick, is Bryan Kohberger update. Hello, Hot Pocket. Welcome in. So let me pull this up really quick. I had something else, but let me pull this up, show you guys something. We still have to get into a deep dive case one night, whenever, on these Kohberger documents, because gosh, there's been a lot dropped and there's a lot of interesting things being said in the documents. See if I can get that to blow up where you guys can. Welcome in. Let me get this up here. Okay. So the case summary, did it click on it? Is it not?
You're up.
It should be showing case.
You've got the index. You've got the index up right now.
Yeah, but it's not showing me what I wanted to show you guys. I wonder why that's doing that. Let me see something. Anyway, I can just tell you about it if it won't let me show you the actual piece I'm trying to show you. Oh, I get it. Duh, I clicked the wrong thing. All right, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me try to get it blown up a little more. Okay, so this is the case summary where they list everything going down, and it'll show up here before it shows up over in the docket, because they're slow to go over there in Ada County as far as uploading documents at a fairly quick pace like we had over in Latah County. And I'm just assuming because it's such a larger county, way more cases. But so they had on the 15th, there was a notice of a hearing filed for a closed and sealed hearing. Looks like that has been granted, and on the 21st there's a motion hearing at 10 a.m. and it is sealed. Then there will be a second motion hearing on the 23rd, and it appears that one is not sealed. Now, going back to the one that is sealed, I wonder if that it doesn't thing come down that they granted a hearing for the Franks motion. So I'm wondering if it's about the IGG stuff. We'll have to dive into the case docket a little further to really understand why that is like that. Because I haven't took a deep dive into that yet as to why that case or that particular hearing. They've only had a couple of closed hearings, and each time it was to do with sensitive information like the IGG type stuff. Hello, Sinead. Welcome in. And like I said, since we can't watch that one hearing, it'll be closed. We will cover the other hearing on the 23rd. I think I'm going to let it play, take notes, and then we'll come on live and watch it again and have some discussions about it. You think that's a good way to go about it, Joe?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, because I'm taking notes and I want to stop and comment on what they just said, and it's just not cool to do during the live hearings, so we won't mess it up.
Yeah, and that's kind of what.
Go ahead.
That's kind of what we're having to do in the Lori Vallow stuff right now, because they're not allowing that to be live broadcast, but Fox 10 gets to air their broadcast later. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to do it after the fact.
Yeah, and like I said, that's how a lot of us did Vallow's case in Idaho, because we weren't getting anything but we got audio at the end of the darn day. So you would be up, at the end all night listening to that audio, or getting up early in the morning and trying to finish it so you could go live and talk about it. I wasn't doing lives at that time, so but I was one of the ones up all night trying to get caught up. You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. So had you been familiar with the Michael Vaughn case?
I am not at all. I have no clue about the case. Maybe if you start talking about it, I might remember like a major news story somewhere here or there, but I definitely, off the top of my head, it does not sound familiar.
We're going to watch a little quick piece here on News Nation. We'll stop and comment. So it's like a 7-minute piece. We don't want to get in trouble for playing people's stuff, but we're going to watch it, see what happens. But this is, because like I said, I kind of loosely followed the case. Let me pause that so she doesn't talk over me. Okay, let me pull this up. this is kind of like a little backstory on it, I guess, so we can get familiar with it before we go into the next segment of it.
Welcome back. Tonight in our Missing series, a renewed search for a 5-year-old boy named Michael Monkey Vaughn. We brought you his story for the first time last year, but tonight, the first national TV interview with both of Michael's parents and newly released photos of a man police say was nearby at the time of Michael's disappearance. Correspondent Marky Martin is joining us live. And Marky, you've been with this case for some time now. You traveled to Idaho last winter to speak with his mother, but now you've had the chance to speak to both of his parents. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Natasha, so we heard from Michael's dad, Tyler, for the very first time this week. He was the parent who was actually at home at the time that Michael went missing. And today marks 1 year since that little boy, who is lovingly known as Monkey, walked out the door and never came home.
We haven't stopped. Every day we have unfinished business, and I'll tell you that every day is an anniversary of the disappearance from Michael.
365 days, a year of searching with no answers. For the 5-year-old Fruitland boy whose 2021 disappearance garnered nationwide attention and support.
Hi, what are you doing back?
Last July, Michael Vaughn was at home with his dad and baby sister while mom was at work. Family says he walked out, searching for neighborhood kids to play with.
You want to pause here?
He went to another neighbor's house.
Yes, go ahead.
Just having you pause the video at a reasonable place. Did he have any disabilities at all, or was he just a normal?
I do not think
boy?
so. From what I looked into this morning, I didn't see anything like that. So he was at home. I do know he was home with his father and little sister. Mom was at work. So,
wow.
But no, not that we are aware of.
Yeah, every parent's worst nightmare. What a beautiful little boy, too. Oh,
I know, right?
And then
I watched.
Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Play on. I'll say something else next time you decide to stop.
Okay.
Last winter,
Because she's going to tell the story about what he did apparently that morning, the child.
Michael's mom, Brandy, invited our News Nation team to their Idaho home, walking us through her son's last moments there.
He would have come out of the garage. The front door is pretty hard to get out of, and you can hear that opening.
At the time, his dad, Tyler, declined to speak with us. But this week, that changed. The couple sitting together for their first national TV interview.
It doesn't feel like a year. It's been an eternity.
Tyler, a lot of people curious why, if you were the one at home, why you haven't done a lot of talking with the media. What's your response to people who want to know that question?
Because I was the one at home. I feel like because I was the responsible party. I don't like being in the public eye at all, and it's because I, to some extent, blame myself.
For most of the afternoon, Tyler says Michael played with his monster trucks and Nintendo Switch, and that around dinner time, he ordered a pizza and went down the hall to change the baby's diaper. When he came back out, Michael wasn't there.
Searched the house, searched the backyard, went out in the front yard, jumped in the van, called Brandy.
He says he raced around the neighborhood and was the one who called 911.
The Fruitland Police, Payette Police, and Payette County deputies and citizens searched through the night until support arrived the following morning.
I'm going to pause it there.
In the last year, more than 3,000 acres.
I sure can.
So what do you think about Dad? What do you think about the credibility of his? So there are going to be language experts and body language experts, linguistics experts that will analyze.
Well, he's been missing. He's been missing for a while. Like I said, I haven't deep dove the case. I don't know what a lot of people think about him particularly, but I don't. From what there's a suspect we're going to get to in a minute, and I don't think neither one of the parents have ever been cleared, of course, which has been standard lately in a lot of missing kids cases. But I don't know what to make of Dad yet. You know what I mean? I haven't watched enough video of him to make any assessments on body language. I can say from the outside looking in and just watching this one little piece, I can understand not wanting to come out and talk if you were the last one there and you're going to blame yourself already, right? Say legitimately the child walked within minutes, I guess. I don't even know how long he realized the child was gone. We all do know that there are cases where children just quickly get away. There are cases where they are harmed, and that's how it happens. But when they quickly get away, it's hard, look at the Katie.
Right. And we live in that.
Look at the Jennifer Soto situation. You know what I mean? And
we live in a different world now with social media, where people who are legitimately innocent get attacked and get immediately called guilty, determined to be guilty, ruled guilty by some people in social media, and they'll even get death threats and things like that. So I do not blame him if he is innocent. I do not blame him for not wanting to be in the media spotlight, in the public eye at all. I wouldn't either.
Yeah. The one thing I can say is, even over in the Sebastian Rogers case with like his mom, okay, we all watched, well, not we all watched, because some of you weren't old enough, but Susan Smith came out and cried on national TV, about her babies and how that black man stole her car and stole her babies when the bitch drove the babies into the lake and left them there in the car. Just luckily didn't get paroled recently. So you expect parents to come out and plead for their children. And when they don't, we are like, well, why are they not coming out and speaking out? I'm guilty of that myself. Why didn't Katie come out and speak out more? But when Katie did come out and speak out, she began to get attacked. But at the same time, Jennifer Soto was out there being attacked, and she was shady as hell. And we had to separate the two. I did, you know what I mean? Different mothers, two different situations and reactions. So part of it, we want these parents to come out and plead for their children, but at the same time, maybe he should have done that in the beginning and then step back. I don't know if he did or didn't. Like I said, I didn't follow it closely enough yet.
Yeah, I think the only thing we heard in this interview is that he refused to be interviewed by News Nation. So that may not mean anything at all. I haven't looked for any pressers.
Right. Police have spoken to him and all that good stuff, but they're still, of course, they're technically not cleared. So, good morning, USA Libertarian. My youngest is a terror. You couldn't be up to her, so I totally get where the kids, they go missing quickly if you're not careful. And there was another comment made up here about tracking the children. My kiddo is just turned 18. And since he was 8 years old and I gave him his first cell phone because we didn't have landlines, and he would get off the bus and be home like 20 minutes alone and all that good stuff. So I need to know where he's at. So we got him a phone. I put Life 360 on that phone, and to today he still has it. He still knows, even at 18, just turned 18, Mama can still see you, little boy. But yes, they're definitely worth. Even the air tags, they're out nowadays. I don't have that because I don't have little ones, But you can't ever be too careful these days, right?
A nearby river have been searched. No suspects have been named, but authorities say they have persons of interest. Fruitland police asking for the public's help in identifying this man, seen in newly released photos walking in a nearby park at the time of Michael's disappearance. And to this day, nobody has been cleared, including Tyler and Brandy.
What do you tell people who say, do they know more than they're letting on?
A lot of the speculation online is based in fantasy land.
Law enforcement and God knows our truth, and we'll stand firm and stand strong.
Fruitland Police confirming with News Nation the couple has cooperated with the investigation. Today, Michael would be 6. His parents grieving another summer without him, a summer they say should be spent playing and camping as a family.
Time for bed now.
But I still want to look at some stars.
He is pure joy, love, excitement, much excitement, energy, lots of energy. You can't not fall in love with him.
Tell me they do believe that their son is out there alive. They still believe he's coming home. And Natasha, I asked both of them, what would justice look like in your eyes? Brandy's answer was if her son comes back alive and well, she could find it in her heart to forgive. Tyler said he just wants his child home. Legal punishment would take care of the rest. And I do also have to mention, to this day, Fruitland Police, they have declined to go on camera for an interview with our crew since day one. Natasha.
Marky, I can't imagine what these...
Why would the police not want to do it? You know, I'm to look for press conferences and see if they've held any and how many they've held. You know what I mean? And why they won't. They're going to say we got to keep this close to the vest stuff going on.
Oh, no, they do that in Indiana. Every other. I mean, and they do in murder cases, but in missing child cases, you should be having press conferences. The parents should be up there saying, please help me find my child. He was wearing blah, blah, blah. And he's, you know, he likes dogs. He likes the water, help me find him.
From what I understand, his mom has been doing all of that. And I think she has a YouTube channel, and we're about to see something that she leaked recently. Like, this is why we're talking about the case, because there's more coming in just a second. So let's see if this is almost finished.
Last several months have been like for this family. Can I ask, do Michael's parents fear the case going cold at this point? What is being done to keep his name and face on people's radars?
Yeah, it's a great question. And actually, they do not fear this case growing cold. They say there's new tips coming in all the time. They're actually excited about some new technology that's going to aid in some of the searches. And one of the biggest criticisms of this case has been Michael Vaughn never received an Amber Alert. His case did not fall under the criteria for the state of Idaho. It's outraged a lot of people.
Okay, so they got to do something about this Amber Alert criteria. I get what an Amber Alert is, and I get what the criteria is, but a missing child is a missing child. And like I said, we had one recently here go missing. She was 12 or 14, but had the mentality of a 10-year-old after a brain injury after a car accident. Well, the police said for 2 or 3 days, we don't believe she's in immediate danger. She left at 3:30 in the morning. What do you mean she's not in immediate danger? Especially if she's got some sort of handicap. Any child, whether they walk off on their own, run away, or disappear into thin air, are in immediate danger. Even if they walked off on their own, they don't know what the hell they're doing. They're immediately in danger. Come on, we got.
How many Amber Alerts do you get on your phone a week, a month?
Well, I got all the Florida Amber Alerts.
I know, but how often do they happen?
I get them once to twice a week.
Right. So they can't be worried about it being oversaturating people's awareness.
Right.
Like the level is too high. The bar is too high for when you issue one of those. Especially in a place like Idaho, I guarantee you. You're in Florida, I guarantee you in Idaho, it happens like a fourth of that at the most, Amber Alerts. So that definitely needs to be investigated.
When a child walks off like that, even if he did walk out the door to go find playmates or whatever, he could have been abducted. How do they not know? Because signs of abduction have to be a criteria for an Amber Alert. So
no, he's 5 years. He's 5 years old. The second that he walks off of his family's property, he is in danger.
Exactly. and that's puts him at high risk for abduction if he's walking down the street. Because if y'all ever sign, in Florida, so I go to the FDA offenders in my area, and I do that, and think I've got like a 5-mile radius set. Anytime anybody moves in near me, I got a notification, and I'm in a rural area, and I got them out here. I know where they're all at. Do that, because you don't ever know what lives in your neighborhood. You just don't. And what if there was one close? There was one 4 minutes away from Sebastian Rogers' home. Whole other story. But I mean, we don't know, I need to look at the map around this child's home and see how many offenders were actually living there. But like I said, there is a suspect. And Sinead, who found Hun? Did I miss something, or did we talk about something that I... Oh.
I think you were talking about the 14-year-old near you.
Oh yes, they did find her. They did. It took I think a week later, but they did find her. I did speak. I was talking to her grandmother, because she lived with her grandmother, and I was helping coordinate some things locally and helping her out with the search stuff. But there wasn't even camera footage around when the family went in to ask about camera footage or giving it to the cops and things like that. It was a mess. They should have done more, in my opinion, to help find the girl a little quicker, because I felt like she was endangered walking out of the house at 3:30 in the morning and being, intellectually challenged. So yeah, I think they need to think, yes, it was a good thing she was found. But yeah, they need to change the damn criteria on these Amber Alerts for these kids, especially these young ones.
I think things could be different if that happened. But also last week, Fruitland Police announcing they've teamed up with the Homeward Bound program, which advocates for missing children. Starting in August, Natasha, there will be semi-trailers crisscrossing across the country with his name and face on them.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. Meanwhile, speaking of new tips, what else have police said about that newly released photo of that man walking by the home around the time Michael went missing? Do we know anything about him?
Yeah, so we actually don't know a lot. In that police press conference that was held last week, they said they'd be releasing those photos. They did a couple days later, and the police chief just saying, we know these are grainy. This is not a suspect or even a person of interest, but this person was walking near the splash pad area of a nearby park leading up to when Michael disappeared. So they said they just want to find this person, have him come forward to talk to him, see if he saw anything. Maybe he saw something he didn't even realize he was witnessing at the time. They just want this person to come forward. Natasha.
All right, Marky Martin, we certainly appreciate it. And I know.
Okay.
What time of year was this that he went missing?
That's a good question, Joe.
Because winter in Idaho is a lot longer than winter in a lot of other states.
Yeah, you can have brutal winters, right, in Idaho.
Yeah.
Let me see something real quick.
So if it's in the summertime or early fall or late spring, not as dangerous. But if it's anywhere in mid to late fall through winter to early spring, I mean, the weather itself would put him in danger.
Let's see, July. He went missing on July 27th, 2021 in Fruitland, Idaho.
July in Idaho is actually beautiful. It's beautiful. I've been horseback riding in Coeur d'Alene in July. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Is it Coeur d'Alene or Coeur d'Alene?
Coeur d'Alene is how the locals pronounce it.
Because I always say Coeur d'Alene, so it's Coeur d'Alene. Okay. All right. Okay, so let me see which one I had up next. All right, so this is a little clip. We have the actual body cam they're going to be talking about, so let's look at this real quick, and it'll tell us how this happened. I believe this happened yesterday. Think of Richard Allen if you were a guy walking by and had nothing to do with it. I know, right? And would come forward. What I just thinking the same thing watching that video. You know, they put out these videos. We had a girl go missing here one time, and they put out this damn Penske truck video, or it was a screenshot of the video. Had everybody in town looking for this darn Penske truck. It had nothing to do with the crime. The girl went missing, and the truck was at her house. She was getting dropped off by it, but then it didn't show her. The next one they had was her getting into a white pickup truck, and that's the white pickup truck, the dude that killed her. We should have been all looking for the white pickup truck. It's like, what are you doing, cops? Give CS stuff. Okay, so let me get this one pulled up. So like I said, from what I understand, Michael's mom, Brandy, has a YouTube channel. I have not ever went over to it or anything like that to check it out, though, and see what kind of content she's got. So this is a lead into what happened with the leaked videos that we're going to talk about.
This is the news at 4.
First at 4, body cam video uploaded to YouTube this week could provide more clues in the disappearance of Michael Vaughn. The then 5-year-old boy went missing in 2021 from his home in Fruitland, Idaho. And I want to bring in Abby Davis and Abby Wilt here with us following the story. We'll start with Abby Wilt. You're going to break down key points from that video in just a minute. But Abby Davis, you spoke with Michael's mom just a short time ago about this video, where it came from. What do we know about this?
Right. Well, Joe and Abby, Brandy Neal says she and a family friend leaked the 2-part video. It shows one of the 2 suspects in the case, or it shows one of the 4 suspects in the case, rather. Stacy Wandra, who was in jail at the time in Washington County, telling detectives Michael's body was in he and his wife's backyard. They lived just minutes away from the young boy. Brandy says they accidentally got the video last spring through an unrelated public records request. She asked the friend to file the request on her behalf. Brandy started uploading the video on her own YouTube yesterday. The family friend who runs the true crime account, Clutch Them Pearls, uploaded it to their account today. Brandy says she leaked the video because she's angry, tired, and sick of not having any answers and wanted to take the situation into her own hands. She doesn't want her decision to discredit any of the hard work the Fruitland Police Department has done. She says they've worked tirelessly to bring Michael home. She did decline an interview because of her poor health. Stacy is still a suspect. He's been in and out of custody for a couple of years after pleading guilty to an unrelated gun crime, then violating conditions of his supervised release. He's currently in federal custody, waiting for a hearing that's set for mid-February. His wife, Sarah, who is also a suspect, is in prison until at least 2026 on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and destruction, alteration, or concealment of evidence unrelated to Michael's disappearance. There are 2 other suspects, Adrian Lucian and Brandon Shurtleff. They both lived with the Wandras. Fruitland Police Chief J.D. Huff told me recently that he knows where they are, but wouldn't elaborate further on any of the suspects since it's an active investigation. Abby, Will, you watch the videos, break them down for us.
Abby, that's more than an hour's.
Okay, we have the video we're gonna watch. The confession seems at least partly false. They didn't find him. Yeah, it's weird. And so Clutch Them Pearls is a YouTube channel. I don't watch them. They do a lot of Sebastian Rogers coverage, and
so those four pictures, those 4 people that they showed are actual suspects in his disappearance?
yes, and we got to deep dive into those guys a little more. I got another news piece we're gonna watch. Let me pull this up. That interrogation video they were just talking about that the mother leaked, and those other suspects. So I guess they all lived in the same house, and this is, but I don't think anybody's been cleared. You know, of course, the parents and those guys as well. So we'll have to
to come out with their photos and present them as official suspects
Yeah.
They've got to have some kind of evidence to do that. Because
well, and for some reason, I don't know the backstory on it, but Michael, Stacy Wanderer, the guy that we're about to see in the interrogation video, at one point his wife was charged with moving the body. And I'm like, I'm so confused. I need to do a backstory more on it. I just saw this morning about the leaked. I knew this guy was a suspect, right? But I didn't know about the wife and the things of that nature going on. So we're gonna have to do maybe a deep dive one night into it and look at from the to really get a good clear picture on all these players. But the Stacy Wanderer apparently did a lot of like YouTube panels, you know what I mean, going up on panels and talking and different things, and was just sus from the beginning. He didn't live far from the couple where the little boy lived. Where's it not showing? Oh. Like I said, this just became leaked on the YouTube channel, so got to get it to where they start the mic.
Right, so told you. Yes.
Sorry. I had to do this the other day when that happened. Start the screen over. Okay, here we go.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer and want one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning. Okay. You have the right to interrupt the conversation and use these rights at any time. Okay. Do you understand these rights, as I've told you? Yes, sir. Okay, hey, Detective Freeland PD, you know him? I've been talking to you a bit. They want to FaceTime you so you can give them a little more information on where this body's actually buried at, because I guess they're not finding him yet. Okay. Are you good with that? I mean, good as I'm gonna be. Okay.
What's in your pen? And I'm gonna give you a number so you can dial in there.
Did you get in all right?
Yeah. From the phone dialer?
Video.
So, Cleveland, they did dig up their yard because he claimed the child was in the backyard buried, correct? So I wonder if this interrogation was after, is this like a second interrogation where did he already say that there was, what he had seen and they dug it up and found nothing and now they're back in there again? I wonder if that's exactly what's going on here. Sorry guys, I should have been a little more prepared on this one, but I just saw the update this morning and I'm like, we need to talk about this.
6 times Lord.
Oh, does it? The machine's not very good.
No, they suck. You have to load it like 5 or 6 times.
Let's turn that.
What time is it?
I think it's about 2 o'clock.
It's not 1:42.
So you're a deputy out in the field?
Yep.
I thought you worked in here.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know you were a deputy out in the field, Aaron. I thought you said you were just a jailer.
He's going with me today.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't make it back here too much.
you can't add phone numbers.
You can't?
No. These are all numbers that I had previously dialed. You gotta add contacts. And you can only add email.
Okay.
We'll get an email.
Then call my dad and we'll get this set up.
He's gonna have to download the Visit Now app.
Okay.
It's called.
Hey, you're gonna have to download an app so you can talk to him.
You can't just.
I mean, we can make this FaceTime happen over Ben's work phone, but the only thing is we just.
Uh-oh. Can you guys still hear me?
I can hear you, but the video was.
Yeah, it went down. I got a good signal, so I don't know what happened there. Okay, it's back up, it looks like. Might need to speed this up a little bit. Damn. I'm not.
Oh, it's an hour. It's an hour long. Holy cow!
Yeah, we're not going to be able to watch that whole thing. I don't want to. I'm not familiar with this case. I'm here to support y'all. The last one was interesting, so I'm here to check this case out too. Well, thank you. Uh-oh, I thought my phone was off. Sorry for that.
Yeah, Simi, we're just kind of on the morning show. We're just kind of hitting a brief hit on new cases like this one, so we can get familiar with them. I mean, I think that's going to be the idea. And when we want to do deep dives, then we'll hit those at night. We'll do a night show with the deep dives. And
sometimes the deep dives may turn into some daytime shows as well, depending on our schedules. But Joe and I this is our new morning show. This is like the second episode. Really, the first one was kind of just get to know it, and we kind of went long with Delphi. But then, yeah, the kind of idea behind the morning show is to get caught up on case updates that just came out or trending true crime cases, things of that nature, and stuff like this that come up that we don't know a lot about or we want to know more about, or even the case updates on cases we're following. The deeper dives will be done in the evenings. So yes, thank you for coming in though and supporting our channel. We do appreciate it. Joe and I share a lot of things. We do back and forth between my channel and his channel. So we need to get Joe, we need to get your link into the chat for us. Can you drop Joe's link into chat for us so everybody can sub up over there as well? And we appreciate you being here again. So I think that the whole gist behind this interview here was that he admitted again that about this child being buried in their backyard. But why would you say, I mean, we know there's crazy people out there who insert themselves into cases and do things, right? But goodness gracious, that's a lot.
You know who he reminds me of?
What, who?
Keegan Klein.
Doesn't he though? I was trying to picture it, Joe. Like, who does this guy remind me of? And you're so right.
So he's probably a liar.
No, Cleveland, get out of town. You don't know my obsession with them damn white Elantras. I have another friend that we deep dive. We used to always deep dive Idaho, and we were constantly sending screenshots back and forth to each other of all the time. Crazy. Don't even get me started. I'll start making bad jokes. Hold on. Okay.
I never stopped making bad jokes. Dad jokes. Bad dad jokes.
Oops, sorry. I messed myself up. I got to laughing at my chat here. Okay, here it is. This one's a shorter. Did I already play this one? Let me see. You guys tell me if I played this already. I can't remember.
Here to clear my name.
The people, Fruitland Police is now calling a suspect in the abduction of Michael Monkey Vaughn, spoke to News 7 Investigates Morgan Romero. Fruitland's police chief told us for the first time, Stacy Wandra is a suspect in the little boy's disappearance. His wife, Sarah, was previously charged with failure to report Michael's death. But that charge was dropped several months later, though she remains.
See, how was she charged with failure to report his death if they don't know the death occurred in her home? I'm confused by that.
Whose death?
The child's.
What child?
Michael Vaughn. This lady says, hold on.
I thought he disappeared. He's been found dead?
No, they haven't found him as far as I know. Okay, we got to do some deep dive, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm here to clear my name.
The people, Fruitland Police is now calling a suspect in the abduction of Michael Monkey Vaughn, spoke to News 7 Investigates Morgan Romero. Fruitland's police chief told us for the first time, Stacy Wandra is a suspect in the little boy's disappearance. His wife, Sarah, was previously charged with failure to report Michael's death. But that charge was dropped several months later, though she remains a suspect. Now, along with the Wandras, police labeled 2 men who lived with them, Adrian Lucien and Brandon Shirtliff, suspects who absolutely know what happened to Michael. 5 years old at the time, Michael disappeared from his Fruitland home on Southwest 9th Street on July 27, 2021. In November of 2022, we were there as crews searched and excavated the property where those 4 suspects lived, just 2-minute drive from the Vaughn's home. Police said they had credible information from someone living in the Wandras' house that Michael's body was there. Human remains, dogs alerted, but ultimately Michael wasn't found. Police believe Michael was buried in the yard and then moved. Fruitland Police sent probable cause to the Payette County prosecutor last summer to be presented to a grand jury. Police Chief J.D. Huff says a grand jury hasn't convened yet, but they will soon. Although that case centers around the Wandras and their roommates, Stacy tells us he knows nothing about Michael's abduction.
Stacy Wandra, Stacey.
Man, this is crazy.
She was charged with failure to report the death. They have evidence that they're not telling us.
Yeah,
if they actually charged her with that, then of course we've seen the probable cause affidavits and arrest warrants can be pretty sketchy. We've seen that lots of times, Delphi being one of them. But they charged her with it, and then they withdrew the charges.
We need to see if we can dig up some of the documents.
Yes.
It's like she's saying right here, cadaver dogs hit on a couple of spots on these suspects' properties. Thanks, Jen. We're going to be checking it. I'm glad you guys, you're half awake. Well, welcome in, honey. Grab your coffee, tea, whatever it is, you please. Whatever your vice is. Coca-Cola. I'm just checking out you guys' comments. She admitted seeing the body moved. Wow. We may have to get one to fill us in on stuff. Guys, we'll take a deeper dive into this case. Let me make a note to try to find some documents. And I'm going to finish playing this piece here, though. But yeah, we're going to get into this a little more.
It's been 2 months since Stacy Wandra was released from federal custody, convicted of a gun crime unrelated to the disappearance of little Michael Vaughn. And what have you been doing since?
I've been trying to live my life the best way I can. Stacy
agreed to interview with me to, quote, clear his name.
I have no reason to hide anything from anybody. I'm not that type of person. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything, and I will tell you an honest answer to it.
Were you involved in the disappearance of Michael Vaughn?
No,
Why do police think you were?
I have no idea.
Stacy thinks law enforcement's case may hinge on Adrian Lucian, one of the men living with Stacy and his wife at the time Michael disappeared. One of the men police are calling a suspect. Any clues or evidence that could point to that from your knowledge?
No.
Okay.
I would never have thought Sarah, Brendan, or Adrian.
We're going to have to look into these suspects a little, these other suspects' roommates a little more as well.
Yeah, this is this looks like a case with rabbit holes. Again, good grief.
Yeah, we do have that. I got it from a news piece this morning. We got the whole thing, but we were gonna watch it, but it's like an hour long. So I think we're gonna finish it on our deep dive. Maybe we'll go tonight for a little bit on that. Since we're kind of like all on it now, but because I do want to watch that because I want to hear the things that he had to say in it.
Maybe Adrian, but I wouldn't have thought Sarah or Brandon would have ever done something like this. I was not even home at the night of the disappearance. I know that at that nighttime, Sarah, Brandon, and I had left to CUNA to go recover his tow's vehicle.
Elaborate on that day a little bit more. You said you were working?
Yeah, so I did a taxi ride from Ontario to Boise. I know that I was gone a good portion of the day from like 1 p.m. in the afternoon to like about 4. Spent some time with a former coworker or boss that I used to work for. I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, and then had come back home. And the neighborhood was completely solitude. It was quiet.
Stacy claims he, Brandon, and Sarah left their house and headed to CUNA to tow Brandon's car around 5:30 to 6 p.m. on July 27th, 2021. Brandon blew a spark plug and couldn't drive it, he says. Fruitland police believe Monkey went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. that night.
When we got back, I think about between 9 and 10 o'clock at night, we noticed there was an excessive amount of people out in the community walking around the neighborhood. We had stopped and asked what was going on, and they said that a boy had been abducted or been taken, and it was news to me. It was news to Sarah, what it seemed like, and Brandon. We got home, Brandon and Sarah decided they were going to go look for the boy, and I was in the process of getting the vehicle detached from the truck because it was taking up the whole length of the street pretty much.
Okay,
Stacy later clarified to me he wasn't initially told.
Red flags.
Uh-oh.
When somebody gets into too much detail, when they're telling a story and they get into too much detail, blew a spark plug, was detaching vehicles, didn't get involved in the search. I see a lot of red flags with this guy. But that's just because I watch a ton of interrogation videos and interrogation analysis videos. The body language, what do they call themselves? I don't remember. I haven't watched one of their videos in a while. I probably should, but the red flags, I saw like 3 red flags in that like 5 minutes.
Person, and a lot of times, yeah, it I don't know. It's weird for me because I'm a detailed oriented person. If I start telling you a story, I'm probably going to give you details you don't care to hear or need to hear. But I feel like it might help the story. I don't know. It's weird for me. Sometimes I just like I need all the details. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but this guy's not as smart as you.
Oh God, no! This guy,
look,
the comments being made, I believe them and here that the ones I'm seeing in chat, and just from what I have reviewed a few things in the past of this guy, because I knew who he was. Yeah, you could tell he's not a real good guy. Behavioral panel, right, Joe? Is that who you're speaking of?
Yeah, yep, that's the one. Those are the guys. I like those guys a lot. I don't agree with everything that they come up with, but they do have a lot of very good insight. Yeah. They're also fans of the read technique, so that's where they and I also diverge. But I've
watched them, but I've
learned a lot from them. Yep, absolutely.
I really, really do.
Yep.
Right, Lindsay, women naturally give more details. That's why we're smarter. We know them details are darn well important, aren't they? It's a lot of information and then them details.
Michael was abducted, just that he was missing. And where was Adrian that day?
Adrian and Brandon and Sarah all took a trip to Boise in the morning before I did my taxi ride. It was Adrian wanted to go see his kid.
He claims Adrian stayed in either Boise or Nampa all night. Is that what they told you, or do you know that to be true for a fact?
I mean, that's just what I'm going based off of. I mean, I was told the same thing that's, all over, and I wasn't with them.
Human cadaver dogs are highly reliable. Why did police tell you that human cadaver dogs pinged on your property at that home?
They didn't really give an explanation. They just said that the dogs had hit around the property. But, I mean, there was nothing. I don't even know how that's even feasible because like I said, I've never even heard of this kid. I've never seen this kid. Never knew anything about him.
Police said that they believe Michael's body was buried there.
Pause.
Can you?
This new mouse works out pretty darn good. I can pause quickly now and not have to hit it 15 times.
Nice. She said, why did police tell you that cadaver dogs, she said pinged, the correct word is hit. Why did my sister trains cadaver dogs. Cadaver dogs can hit on something as small as a human tooth.
Right.
But he didn't say, well, maybe there was something else that was dead in there, or maybe a body part of, he immediately went to, he said, I didn't have anything to do with the death or disappearance of this kid. I forget what his exact words were, but he immediately associated that in his brain with the disappearance of Michael. Mm-hmm. So another red flag, just another red flag. Not saying he's guilty, but I'm getting a ton of red flags.
Think of any time that his body would have been buried there and then moved. Does anything stand out to you?
Not at all. They were saying that he was buried by the shed. Makes absolutely no sense. There's been no dig marks, there's no trench marks, there's nothing. The ground was a complete grassed area.
Could it have happened when you weren't around and it was potentially covered up?
It could have, very possibly. I just know that I wasn't around for any of it.
So he's saying if that child, something happened at his home and he was placed in the backyard, he wouldn't know where around. It was his roommates and his wife.
Right.
Huh.
He said it's very possible, but I wasn't around.
Because he'd already said that he was not home doing his taxi ride or whatever it was. Huh.
I have no idea. I would like to know what happened to him.
They did say that they recovered several pieces of evidence at your home and on your property. Do you know what those pieces of evidence were?
Well, it's news to me.
The day after our interview,
he was playing with something.
Stacy gave a YouTuber a new piece of information.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to recollect as best as I can for you.
He, Brandon, and Sarah pulled over to put power steering fluid in his car right after they left for Kuna the day Michael was abducted. He says they saw a child playing by himself on the sidewalk down the street around the corner from the Vaughn's home.
The kid that I saw did not depict Michael. I mean, he wasn't like a little kid. You know what I mean? Like he was, that's why I said it didn't concern me at all that he was out and about doing his thing.
Stacy says he doesn't know what's in the probable cause affidavit police sent to prosecutors. The one police say centers around him, Sarah, Adrian, and Brandon. Do you think police have anything on you or your wife?
I personally, no. Again, I wasn't even home. I have no knowledge of who this little boy is, his whereabouts, or anything about him.
In his interview with the YouTuber, Stacy said his attorney told him he's no longer a person of interest in Michael's abduction. Chief Huff tells me that's not true. When I called Stacy's attorney to get a straight answer, his attorney told me, quote, "I have no comment at this time," and hung up. I also reached out to Michael's mom, Brandy Neal, to let her know about this interview airing. She was appreciative and said the most important thing in the world is to get Michael home.
Wow.
So many red flags with that guy.
That poor child has to be in that neighborhood's. He had to go missing in the neighborhood, you know?
Well,
I mean,
right. Well, they said they pulled their car over to put power steering fluid in it. By the way, just around the corner from their house. And didn't look anything like Michael, but, you know, they noticed the child playing near where they pulled over to put power steering fluid in, when originally, like Simi said, it was a spark plug issue. This guy gives me the heebie-jeebies.
And they didn't mention it during the interview with the news program, but the next day on YouTube, he brought that information out. Right? So I know that he did make some YouTube rounds. We would definitely go ahead.
So I'm a innocent until proven guilty guy.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is somewhere along, probably not as much as I was convinced Sarah Boone, because there was video of her. Definitely not Stephen Stearns level of me being convinced that he's given off too many red flags not to have something to do with it, but I'm leaning more towards, he had something to do with it, with all these red flags. Good grief.
Yeah, most definitely. That case, and I'm going to try to dig up some of the documents on it, get a better timeline of the
Forrest.
And I saw that. I was like, I have to go to the bathroom, so I didn't want to laugh too hard. So you guys that were following the Karen Reed case, there's two things. There was a Daubert hearing held to determine whether or not the dog expert person could testify or not. And I believe they were granted the right to testify. And then there was another hearing held on Michael Proctor, who was an investigator, police officer working the case. I have the Daubert hearing, but it's rather of a long one. So what we're going to do instead is play this little court TV piece where they talk about how the judge allows the expert to come in, because I think that's going to be important, because I think if you've been following the case even loosely, you know that's a big contention there, whether that the injuries to his arm, John O'Keefe's arm, was dog bites or not. So let's
quickly turn now to Massachusetts for new developments in the case against Karen Reed. Reed is set to stand trial for a second time in April of this year for the death of her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe. Joining me now in studio, Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson. Always great. The judge just issued a ruling about one of the defense witnesses. Tell us more about that.
This is big for the defense case, and it's all right here, obtained by Court TV. This ruling, the dog bite expert, Dr. Marie Russell, will be allowed to testify in the Reed trial beginning April 1st. And this, according to the case file that we just obtained. The Commonwealth had tried to exclude her testimony in the upcoming trial, and her opinion that marks on John O'Keefe's arm were the result of a dog attack. Here's her testimony during that two-day Daubert hearing. Take a listen.
Do you have an opinion with regard to the nature and source of the wounds on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
Yes.
What is that opinion?
Those wounds were inflicted by a dog attack.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
You've opined that these are bites, teeth going in and out of those holes all the way up and down the arm.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, it is remarkable that there is no dog DNA on any of those holes in the sweater, isn't it?
Again, there's an issue with the collection and transportation of that.
I'd love to talk to you about that. We're going to, but you got to get through my questions first. It is remarkable as a doctor, as a scientist, that there is no dog DNA in any of those swabs or holes. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Remarkable would not be the word I use.
Extraordinary.
No, I disagree.
Hard to believe.
I disagree.
Okay. Now, there is no dog DNA. Do you think somehow that hurts your cause or your case for your opinion?
Objection, Your Honor. Assisting.
Former pathologist, former ER doctor, former law enforcement officer, but a complicated witness. Dr. Russell, as you know, contacted the defense. Judge Ashley, in the middle of the first trial, was allowed to testify, and it appears she'll be called as a witness for trial 2.
Yes, and as we were discussing, of course, they kind of start all the way over in the Commonwealth, and so they have to do these motions hearings again for the judge to make a ruling. Now, in this memo, the judge also mentioned something, Matt, I'd like you to talk about, and that is that the expert failed to consider all of the evidence.
And that was evident in the cross-examination, including the red plastic on John O'Keefe's shirt, no dog DNA detected, and no comparison between Chloe the dog, her teeth, and marks on John O'Keefe's arm.
No dog DNA in these wounds is an issue, but did they clean it out when they were cleaning the wounds without testing for DNA? I mean, what?
Yeah, and who tested it? I don't remember hearing. I do remember obviously hearing about dog DNA and swine DNA or pig DNA.
I was reading a comment. Well, you would think when the body got to the morgue, they would swab those.
Yeah.
But if they considered this was an accident, would
exactly a vehicular accident, would you swab scratch marks from something that you thought was a vehicle accident?
True that.
Arm. That was a shocking piece of evidence that we learned about during that 2-day hearing, that investigators actually made molds of Chloe's mouth.
Did you ever discuss going to see Chloe and doing these studies on Chloe so you could see if...
Let's quickly...
Sorry, I didn't mean to go backwards on that, but this was a good comment. They took from the shirt cutting. That's right. If they didn't cut the right swatch, there wouldn't be DNA. But you would think if they cut all around where the scratch marks were in the tears in the shirt, that alone, if they saved it, that could be tested for some DNA, huh? Which it may have been. I don't know.
Right. And I also want to know about the DNA testing methodology that they used. Like, if I were a defense attorney, I would dig into that. Like, who was the person that was testing it? How did they test it? What part of the shirt? And I actually think that did come up in some of the cross-examination.
Red Solo cups.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I am cutting in and out, Joe. Guys, Joe has let me know that I am cutting in and out. We thought it was an internet issue, but turns out, pretty sure it's my little cheap headset that I always bragged about. So I got to get a new one and fix that. So if it sounds like I'm not listening to Joe sometimes, it's because I didn't hear or he's not hearing me. So trying to work around that. So sorry about that. Okay, so let's get, so they're talking about, I guess, making impressions of Chloe's teeth. And, you know, they, like a dog bite, like a clamp down, like a human, right? You're going to clamp down. But if a dog bites, they may tend to pull and tear.
Well, wasn't she a former canine, a retired canine, or at least she was a German Shepherd. So
yeah.
they are trained to grab a hold of your arm and they shake it back and forth. Yeah. I mean, that looks like that very well could be. I mean, if you've ever seen those demonstrations with the police
where they grab
dogs, the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
They have So what would that guy's arm look like? Imagine that, one of those demonstrations, if he didn't have on one of those protective suits.
This is
And
so
I could,
very true.
I could see it looking very similar to that.
Yeah, I've drawn that same conclusion there, V. It's kind of like with Delphi. We got all this evidence, but yet y'all don't test it, or you lose it, or you got serious issues. And when that's the, you want to stick a court case and you want to convict a client, you better bring it these days. It's not the 1800s where we just sit around and we talk about, well, we think they were here, and because there's no cameras back then, and there's no, eyewitnesses saw you over at the corral or whatever. But
unless you're in Delphi, Carroll County, then you don't need to bring it.
Well, I'm saying, but
to convict it. No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just being snarky about Delphi and Carroll County, where they didn't bring it and they still got the conviction.
Well, that's hopefully on appeal that will be rectified if there was serious issues, because you got to just start bringing the evidence. So you can't just lose it and do all the things, because I'm telling you, I got a feeling Delphi is going to be in some trouble after a while.
Year for the death of her Boston.
Did I fast forward? I accidentally went backwards, and I don't know where I was.
Testify in the retrial beginning April 1st. And this, according to the case file that we just obtained. The Commonwealth had tried to exclude her testimony in the upcoming trial and her opinion that marks on John O'Keefe's arm were the result of a dog attack. Here's her testimony during that 2-day Daubert hearing. Take a listen.
Do you have an opinion with regard to the nature and source of the wounds on Mr. O'Keefe's right arm?
Yes,
What is that opinion?
those wounds were inflicted by a dog attack.
Do you hold that opinion to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes,
You've opined that these are bites, teeth going in and out of those holes all the way up and down the arm.
yes,
Yeah. Now, it is remarkable that there is no dog DNA on any of those holes in the sweater, isn't it?
there's an issue with the collection and transportation of that.
I'd love to talk to you about that. We're going to, but you got to get through my questions first. It is remarkable as a doctor, as a scientist, that there is no dog DNA in any of those swabs or holes. It's remarkable, isn't it?
Remarkable would not be the word I use. I disagree.
Okay. Now, there is no dog DNA. Do you think somehow that hurts your cause or your case for your opinion?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Former pathologist, former ER doctor, former law enforcement officer, but a complicated witness. Dr. Russell, as you know, contacted the defense. Judge Ashley, in the middle of the first trial, was allowed to testify, and it appears she'll be called as a witness for trial 2.
Yes, and as we were discussing, of course, they kind of start all the way over in the Commonwealth, and so they have to do these motions hearings again for the judge to make a ruling. Now, in this memo, the judge also mentioned something, Matt, I'd like you to talk about, and that is that the expert failed to consider all of the evidence.
And that was evident in the cross-examination, including the red plastic on John O'Keefe's shirt, no dog DNA detected, and no comparison between Chloe the dog, her teeth, and marks on John O'Keefe's arm. That was a shocking piece of evidence that we learned about during that 2-day hearing, that investigators actually made molds of Chloe's mouth.
Did you ever discuss going to see Chloe and doing these studies on Chloe so you could see if they were dissimilar to these abrasions?
I was asked to evaluate the wounds.
Do you know that Chloe exists, that we provided notice to you that we went up and saw Chloe and took molds? Did you know that?
Objection, Your Honor.
Did you know that I was going to allow it? Did you know that, Doctor? I do know that now.
Now that you know, that Chloe's available, wouldn't those modes be helpful? Wouldn't you want to look at them and compare them to the distances on the abrasions on Mr. O'Keefe's arm?
Judge, Your Honor. I don't think it's necessary for many reasons.
All right, Judge Beverly Canoni writes this in her decision just released, the decision to allow the expert, quote, the prosecutors were able to demonstrate during their cross-examination of Russell that her expertise primarily concerns the treatment, not the identification of dog bites, that her evaluation of the abrasions failed to consider all available information, that she has not compared the abrasions with the teeth of the German Shepherd in question, and that her opinion is inconsistent with findings that there was no canine DNA in the area of the victim's clothing near the abrasions. But Judge Beverly Canoni ends her memo by saying that all of that, Judge Ashley, can be addressed in trial in front of the jury on cross-examination.
Boy, especially in this case, I appreciate how detailed she was as to her reasoning. So
Yes.
if there's an appeal, it's very clear why she made her decision.
So what do you think about that?
It's a very complex matter, and I think it kind of has to do, like, this is going to be a weird analogy, but with a third party suspect arguments in the Delphi case, where it's going to be subject to what the judge allows in and what the judge doesn't allow in, and what she does and doesn't allow the jury to hear and not hear.
Well, they're going to let them, they already testified round one about this dog bite stuff business. And so that's coming back in again.
Right. And there was a hung jury on
Mhm.
the first time.
It was also very suspicious that they got rid of Chloe right after this. And they said it was because Chloe was aggressive, or she had gotten in fights with another dog in the neighborhood or something. So there was some aggressiveness with Chloe. And so they rehomed her conveniently after this happened, which was to me, it was odd and a red flag. I mean, it could be a nothing burger, could have been already in the works. We got to get rid of this dog. But you know what? I owned pit bulls all my life, and we had one that was known to be aggressive if she didn't like someone. Very loving dog. But if my dog didn't trust you, I didn't trust you. But we knew we had to go and put her up, right? If somebody was coming over or knew that she didn't know, we didn't know how she would react to them, which I always wanted to know, because if, first of all, if my dog didn't like you, I don't think I need you in the house. But I'm saying first, to be responsible owners, we would put her up, especially even if we had little kids around, because she was raised with kids and loved kids. But you just never know if a kid pulls a tail or an ear, anything could happen. So, well, we know there was. And someone mentioned it a second ago, he could have been trying to save him. Because when things get aggressive in the house, like kids play fighting, all right, or even my son and my grandson roughhousing, being father and son, the dog doesn't know what to do. And I had to point that out to them. You need to go put her in her kennel, because she has a really large kennel. Go put her up when you guys want to do that, because she is out to protect somebody, and she loves both of them. Which one do I protect? I think she's going to protect the child, especially if she thought he was being hurt, or if she thought my grandson was hurting my son. I just don't ever know which way it's going to go. So, yeah, if something had happened and there was a fight, he could have been trying to grab him and pull him away. Dogs do that as well. They'll grab you and pull you away from the situation, or they'll try to, at least. Well, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, she was rehomed for a reason, right? Dogs protecting their owners. Yeah, I always said that if you enter my home, you're going to get what you get. Don't yell about my pit bull. She's on my property. The dog we have now is not a pit. She's a beautiful dog, my son's dog, and she's coming to her own finally. But I think she would do some harm over the grandbaby.
Well, it's not just the aggressive breeds. It's all dogs are protective by nature.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I had here where I'm at right now. A year ago, when Charlie was still alive, we would go for a walk around the block. And one time there was a Frenchie that lived across the road, and he was out playing with his kids, with the owner's kids. And we were across the street on the sidewalk, and she came charging across that street, and I had to hold her off with a foot. And
Yeah.
that's a Frenchie. And here at my son's house, he has a little golden doodle, and then he has some kind of a mix that's, about 40 pounds, 25 inches high, maybe. And they both are very protective of the house. And they had the front door open one time, like moving stuff in and out, and somebody walked by on the sidewalk with the dog, and they went out after the dog that was walking on the sidewalk. So it's all dogs. That's just in their nature.
Oh yeah, it is. If you watch Dogs 101, I tell my kid that, like, son, you need to sit down with my grandson and watch like Animal Planet, Dogs 101. You learned so much. And this comment there it's correct. Dogs are way smarter than we think. We just don't know how to communicate with them. I am like a dog whisperer. I'm like an animal whisperer for some reason. They freaking love me. People, not so much, maybe. But this dog here is my son's dog, thinks she's mine. My son's cat thinks he's mine. Well, and my grandson's cat thinks that he's mine. So but yes, animals are amazing. But yeah, getting rid of Chloe was suspicious. Was there a fight? Because we've heard that there was possibly a fight. So, did Chloe intervene during the said fight down in the basement? I don't know. And if Karen Read, we all heard well, I don't know if y'all have all heard or not, so I don't mean to say it like that, but she had made statements in the very beginning like, oh my God, did I hit him? Well, is that human nature talking out loud? Trying to figure out what happened in your head. Did I hit him? Was that a possibility? But if I did it, that was an accident. So if she did do it, they way overcharged her. Nothing I've seen, like I said, though, I haven't deep dove close, but from what I have seen, I can't. Not under the circumstances where he was getting out what was going down. Do you know what I mean, guys?
Yeah.
Right? Get you well, my female was like that with my ex-husband. Nobody could touch him. She would defend us, but damn, not him. That was her. Anyway, okay, so back to the Karen Read thing for a minute. So if you guys aren't familiar with it, Michael Proctor was a police officer there in Boston working on the case, and he got into some trouble during the first trial, and he recently had a disciplinary hearing. We're going to take a look at that. There were investigations done into corruption and all kinds of things. So, all this has got to be a factor or way, jurors in that area, because they didn't move this trial, did they?
No, nope.
So I guess the jurors are from that area, huh?
And when they had closing arguments, they allowed witnesses, including police officers and their families, to sit in the gallery staring directly at the jury. That struck me like
intimidation.
Big time.
I'd stare right back. I would be here, stare right back. Okay.
UBZ has now confirmed
and there's no decision yet. Now, Proctor is facing discipline for his personal communications linked to the Karen Read case. And new at 6, WBZ's Christina Rex reports on what this means for Karen Read's retrial if he's fired.
Inside State Police headquarters, a private hearing to determine whether Trooper Michael Proctor will keep or lose his job.
She's a whack job.
You probably remember Proctor from his testimony at Karen Read's trial. He was the lead investigator into John O'Keefe's death and sent texts about Read.
Yeah, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
He's been on unpaid leave since July, right after Read's trial ended in a mistrial. Proctor is facing 2 disciplinary charges stemming from inappropriate texts on his personal phone about Karen Read, revealing details of an investigation to family and friends, and allegations of drinking with another officer, then driving his cruiser. Former state trooper Todd McGee believes Proctor will be terminated.
To think that there would be another 6-month or 1-year suspension and then he's returned to full duty, that's a challenge.
And if Proctor is fired, what could that mean for Karen Read's second trial in April?
I think it's unlikely that the Commonwealth would call him as a witness, regardless of what happens with today's hearing. His testimony came with so many gaping holes that you could drive a Mack truck through that there's just no way to rehabilitate him. There's just a lot of problems around his testimony and his credibility.
Legal analyst Jennifer Roman still thinks the defense would call him to the stand, even if he's no longer a trooper.
How much of a negative impact do you think Trooper Proctor's behavior had on the state's case?
I think it had a pretty significant. So much of the defense was built around in a cover-up.
And this hearing went on all day from 10 in the morning until late in the afternoon. Eventually what will happen is the trial board will come up with a recommendation, send it to the colonel, and the final word on Trooper Proctor's status will come from the colonel himself. In Framingham, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
Christina, thank you. Let's quickly turn now to Massachusetts.
Okay, so they haven't made a ruling yet, I don't believe. I checked this morning. And that hearing just happened, so he said he had sent texts to other officers and said some pretty nasty things, that shouldn't have been said.
There was a lot of stuff that shouldn't have been said.
Yeah, makes you wonder, Ann Taylor's not stupid. She's wanting all your text, all your communications, not just your reports and your notes. I want those text messages. I want those emails. What were you saying about my client in those emails? We're going to find out, I guess. It's crazy, it'll be really, it's going to be really interesting to see the outcome of that trial. And I do plan to cover the Karen Read trial. It's going to be my practice run before the Idaho 4 case. Of course, we didn't get to cover Delphi trial. We all know why. We covered it, but we had to cover it the next day after we reviewed the people who were in the courtroom. So it was a tedious deal, and very different from what we will have when we have cameras in courtroom type situations. So because in the Kohberger case, I know how I'm going to do the hearings, and I'm assuming that I might start and you guys can give me your feedback on this. If we start a trial, do we start it a little bit late, after lunch, so that we can stop and pause if we want to? Or do we watch it live as it's happening, and discuss during breaks and things like that? Or start it later so we can do our thing? I'm going to use Karen Read as a practice trial, so bear with me, guys. It'll be a learn as we go kind of thing.
Yeah, the one that I did in the Indiana courts on Monday and Tuesday of that convicted murderer who was second appeal. I didn't have any choice but to air it live because they don't have replay, but it definitely was very, very early to start broadcasting a trial. It was very early.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about the high profile cases is they are covered by so many different outlets that even if you don't play the live directly from, because we have the live links to the Idaho courtrooms, you can still go back and watch the replays of those, from other like Court TV and other outlets that you can that air them. East Idaho News is great about airing the Idaho hearings, so I know they'll be covering the trial as well. So we will figure that out as we go, because I want to bring it to you the best way we can. And I know we all have a lot to say, and there's going to be times you guys say things in chat that I'm going to want to respond to. I could type it out, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. So,
Speaking of East Idaho News, I had to buy one of their novelty T-shirts. And
did you?
I'll have to show it off. It says, "Life goal: keep my mugshot off of East Idaho News."
Oh my God, I need one of those. Oh my goodness, I need one. So I'm jealous now. I need to see it. That's pretty cool. I love Nate Eaton over there at East Idaho News.
He's a rock star. I mean, especially for like a little news outlet like that, he is a rock star.
He's great. And he's just gotten, so many back-to-back high-profile cases over there, and so it's good that he's good at what he does, He brings a lot of great content. But
he's very good at what he does.
Is
he the one? Is he the one that went to Hawaii to track him down?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, that was Nate. He went to Hawaii to find Miss Vallow and ask her about her kids. Can you
imagine him going to his producer or his boss or whatever and saying, I need a round trip ticket to Hawaai.
Right, I'm gonna go find this lady. These kids are missing. She won't answer these court documents court ordered to tell us where her kids are. And
that is platinum level. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And, well,
yeah.
He didn't just like go to Hawaii. He had to talk his small, tiny little broadcast company into paying for it, I'm sure, unless they paid it out of pocket, which I doubt. But that's like a 2-part process. That's a 3-part process. Yeah.
They probably had they had probably no qualms about that, because they knew, not from Eaton or Nate's point of view, but from their point of view, ratings, right?
Right.
We can get our guy over there and we can get this exclusive. So that's the way that works. Can you guys see the screen? This is something that I used to have that went away, that apparently is back now. And one night on our deep dive into Idaho one night this week, we're going to take a look at this. But look, I can take you guys into the house. We can go upstairs. Some of you may have seen this before. Some of you may not. There's the doorway that leads to Dylan's bedroom. Of course, that's the front door, downstairs, empty bedroom, and back over behind this wall would be Bethany's room. But that door right there, there's Xana's bedroom. And as you come around, there's now, if this was the only light on in the house that night, and your suspect came from Xana's room around that corner through here, because right there's the kitchen exit, right? Now, keep in mind that light shining on a person right there. There's Dylan's door. See how it's cracked for us already? Now, if you turn around, that's what Dylan sees out that crack. That person coming right through here with the only thing shining is that neon light. Is that enough to see bushy eyebrows? I don't know. That's another deep dive. I just wanted to show you that. I think that thing is so neat. It was out a long time ago, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, they've redone it. So, and I found it again this morning. So I was like, I got to save that. So when we're talking about this, we can get in there. Right. Send me to Hawaii and you might not get me back. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys for being here. We really, really do. We are really liking the morning show. And having you guys in here and discussing the latest stuff with us. And this Michael Vaughn case has, I think, intrigued a lot of us. Some of you know it quite well, and I appreciate you throwing your comments in there and giving us the information. I made a couple of notes, and Joe and I will be taking a deeper dive into that case, and we'll present it one night this week. What do you think, Joe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As soon as you start getting those rabbit hole vibes, we got to go down those rabbit holes. We got to.
Mm-hmm.
That's in our nature. Like,
we'll have
we
to
can't
get us
help
an
it.
early dinner in us so we can start the show at around the dinner hour, so we can go for a few hours if we need to. Because we all know that sometimes that's it takes 4 hours to really get into something. So we will definitely get it in the works for you guys. So I got this Coffee and True Crime Conversations morning show now. I've also launched what I'm going to be calling Salty Sundays, which is a Sunday show. I have some things now. I mean, it's just going to be like some special member lives only that will pertain to information about cases we're following and deep diving, like evidence and different things, and different things we discuss that we really want to take a really good look at, things of that nature. There's like 3 or 4 things I have planned for future as we grow, but you don't have to pay to be a member. You guys subbing up is enough, and I'm calling you guys who sub up investigators. When you are becoming a member, you are a lead investigator, and we appreciate you all being here. Great, you subbed to Joe. Yay. Joe's channel's great. Like I said, we pop back and forth between the 2 channels, and there's like the Lori Vallow case. Joe's deep diving that. We do a lot of that over there on his channel as well. He's been to one of the hearings so far, and he's going to be covering that up.
Two of the hearings.
2 of the hearings, that's right. So, and you plan to cover the upcoming trial as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, you guys give Joe a sub and all that good stuff. And we do appreciate the likes, the follows, the sharing, the commenting. All of that helps, and if you don't mind, please hit the like button. That seems to help us as well. It helps us grow as a channel. Rex Horman was due in court this week, but it was wasn't moved to the 29th because I had a note. I haven't looked at my court doc. That is, I've been keeping an eye on that case as well. I wonder what the 29th will be. I'll have to look into that. I can't remember. There's been so much happen lately in that case. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here again. I appreciate it. Joe, as always, love having you co-host with me, and I appreciate that as well.
It was great. I needed this.
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
good. Yeah, you guys, you all have a great rest of your day, and Joe and I'll work on getting this Michael Vaughn show together, and I got a Kohberger show in the works as well. And then we'll keep an eye on this Karen Read situation as it continues to unfold. All right.
Everybody have a wonderful day.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for watching this here video.